Hey rabbits, it's Head Hare Phoebe here. We've got another video for you today, and this is an interview with a technical education specialist who is doing a great deal of beta testing and burrowing around in a Warren Academy agility course at the moment. So today I'm going to be speaking with Zoey Ka. Hi Zoey! I would really love for us to be focusing on Zoey today and what she thinks. She is a real expert in this very type of thing. So I'm simply going to introduce you, Zoey, as someone who is now in a lived experience role, working for Mental Illness Fellowship, helping with their amazing new platform, the Finding North Network. But in your previous life, that's what my mother used to say, in a previous life, I did this. You have a really extensive background working as a leader for technical education, particularly for universities, and how they really have to provide and engage academics and students in this type of online education, mandatory or otherwise. So I know very little about it, so I'm going to shut up and let you just explain who you are, what you do, why you're here.
Thank you so much, and it's so good to be here. As Phoebe said, my name is Zoey. I'm currently working as a lived experience project lead for Mental Illness Fellowship of Australia, and we're a national advocacy organisation for severe and complex mental health. My previous life, as Phoebe said, has been in education, coaching and ed tech, and it's really about helping students complete courses online with the best possible engagement and making sure that they're learning and have useful feedback loops, etc. So as a program manager, I would design, test and continuously improve these programs to make sure that our students are getting the best out of different programs, whether it is careers, whether it is resume, whether it is complete units, practical units and internship units. I've kind of done a little bit of everything in there, so it's always interesting. I'm here because this is my first lived experience course. I moved into this space only 12 months ago, and Phoebe has really kindly given me access to not only test this program as a technical from a technical perspective, but I'm also learning a lot as a first-time lived experience professional. So yeah.
Thank you, Zoey. That was yeah, a really great explanation of some of the things you do, because I don't have a background in anything IT or technical related. So why I chose to start an online business with every technical element and IT related elements is
big, Phoebe.
love a challenge because I'm a peer worker. I probably should have said to anyone who hasn't seen any other Warren Academy videos or been to the site, but I'm a peer worker in WA, but do consult to eastern states and internationally as well. So yes, I was thrilled when I met you via other work that you said that was your background, and in fact you had led about you were doing things for about 7 universities across the country or something at the time. So I thought, wow. So grateful to have you on board with this one. It is a online exploratory platform offering courses with a difference. They're geared to be, we don't really like the word training and teaching so much. It's really come to a place, dig deep, develop your own insights, firm up your own opinions, change your opinions, get confused, ask questions, and have a real experience down in the worldwide Warren, and hopefully come out the other side with an emergence experience. So many people have asked me, don't you mean immersion course? And in that sense, yes, it's a lived experience version of an immersion course, but I have, yes, marketed as such as an immersion course, because immersion actually relates to emerging, so you soak in, and it's actually about coming out. So all of our language is very intentional at Warren Academy. So I thought what we might do, Zoey, is I just had 4 questions to ask you, because you've been moving through the course for a bit of time. This course, Through the Rabbit Holes of Mental Health Service User Self-Advocacy, is a 6-month course. It is massive. The content is mammoth. And for some people, that's a good thing, but I wouldn't want anyone to be put off because it's a massive course. You can dip in and out of that whenever you want. And I think people have access generally for about 9 months, and we can just extend it if people want to take their time. So obviously you have not, because I've just said you've only been in it a few months, you've not completed a whole course yet, but you have been burrowing through. I have seen on my analytics side, she's in another rabbit hole, or she's roughly here or there. I have a question for you to kick us off. So Zoey, this question is purely from your professional background. Has Warren Academy, from what you've seen so far after a few months, created a good course or an effective course? And what is your overall introductory experience of the course?
I would say that it is not a standard course. Be prepared to be shocked, and whether it is positively or negatively when you first get in, that is the whole point of it. And from an engaging perspective, I think it's done really, really well. It has the right amount of pauses, reflective tools, and also asking the person that's currently doing the course a lot of very important questions, a lot of questions about why, what you want to learn these things or explore, or whatever the word you want to use. It's really important because this course is not like a uni degree and you have specific technical things you want to learn. This, I think, lived experience course like this is so personal, but yet you have to learn how to not take it personally. So it's a very, very well done course, but I would just say be prepared, take the breaks that you need, jump in and out when you need it, but you will definitely be shocked and learn so many different things about you, about others, about what's out there, especially in this space.
Wow. Well, thanks, Zoey. That's a fantastic wrap up. I think the delineation is that Warren Academy comes from a very progressive perspective. So the language is very intentional, from myself and other instructors that work within a niche within a lived experience workforce. So you won't find words like mental illness there unless they're being used specifically and problematized. It's really not just the language, is it, Zoey? There's, well, I don't want to give too much away. It can get a bit dark in many senses in there, and it can be enormously illuminating. Sometimes when you get to an end of a rabbit hole, there's some lovely chambers in there where things happen, and trying to make that happen in an online environment is quite difficult. This course is perhaps a little bit vanilla compared to what some of them are going to be like, Zoey. So, oh my goodness, I'd love to see your face when you do some of the more controversial courses that are from very specific viewpoints within mental health. But I think, as you've said, everyone can come in and gain, that sort of a self-learning environment. There's an element of that. There are questions in there that are geared for you to answer and develop what your view is. And we're not going to tell you, because it's not our business to tell you. To tell rabbits in the Warren, this means this and this is what it is and this is the world. It's not the world according to Warren Academy, but one thing you can get in Warren Academy is the questions perhaps that we all should be asking, either of ourselves or from the system. So yeah, really great few points that you made there, Zoey. I'm so glad you picked up on all of these things, because we've only managed to talk about twice. We've had a couple of feedback sessions. I do have other course testers in as well, constantly filing in with beta tester feedback. So next question, you're a person of lived experience who's only relatively recently stepped into an identified peer role. So not only did you throw yourself bravely, passionately and expertly, really, I think you're very gifted, actually. I think you were born to do this, into this role. I've then thrown you into a Warren and made you burrow around. connected to your previous job, but also very much connected to what you're experiencing now. So what I've got so many questions, I just can't, yeah, I wish I could ask you 5 at once. Let's just stick to one here. What is your view on this course, specifically as a person of lived experience who is quite new to some elements of it?
Wow, that's a very big question.
Yeah,
I think
sorry.
the first thing is this course will make you think more than you ever want to. And one of the things is that I think the course really forces you to be uncomfortable. You know, and really from the get-go, you go into the course and you learn about things, and it tells you that you might not be comfortable because you have to consistently think about your current viewpoint. Are there any biases in there? You know, where does this thought come from? Where does, you know, why do you like this? For example, let's just say, I'll give you an example of, you know, I like labels, I don't like labels. You know, it just forces you to think outside the box and and it's nothing that you traditionally get used to, and nothing traditional, I would say. And for someone that's very new, I would say, I'm still a baby in this industry, it's that when you work in the corporate sector, you have yes or no, you have black and white, whereas lived experience, there is no black and white. You know, like you said before, right? The course doesn't tell you what viewpoint is right or wrong. It tells you what viewpoints there are, and it's up to you to decide what it is. And for that, it has made me, I feel like I've gained a lot of power back, because I've always been someone who just sticks to authority. You know, when a doctor says I've got depression, then I just accept it without having the power or even knowledge of thinking that I have a right to question that. So coming into this course, I've learned that I have a right to ask these questions. I don't need to be an expert or a doctor to question if I have any concerns. So I think it's really, really empowering for someone that's really new to this industry. And also I would say that for my personal recovery journey, or whatever language people like to use, it's a really good learning experience as well. And it really helps you settle in and look deep within yourself, from a personal perspective, but also as a professional. I think the most wonderful thing that this course has helped me, it's understand that lived experience, it's very personal, but at the same time you need to learn to not to take it personally, which is a big skill in itself, because I think well, at least for me, when I first joined the lived experience workforce, you know, 12 months ago, I felt that I have a story to tell. My experience means something. I hope that I can relate and help other people. And, you know, I'm sure that many other people who join this workforce have similar thoughts, is they want to give back and hope that whatever has happened to them will not happen again to others. But then when you come into the industry and you realize that even as taking it as a professional, you need to learn to build boundaries, and also have really important skills to know how not to take things personally, because lived experience is so personal, yet we need to learn to take specific experiences or how people talk to us, not in a personal way, I guess.
Oh, it's bringing little tears. Little tears to I don't even see the water, yeah. Little tears from eyes, because I was hoping for even half of that kind of reaction, perhaps once someone had done the whole 6 months or 7 or 8 months, however this took, and for that to maybe get a glimpse of that. And I thought, oh, it might take the whole course. But I remember speaking to you even a month ago, and you said, I'm blown away. I'm just questioning things that I didn't question, and it was more you were looking. I think you were seeing sort of subtext and those, I don't know if subtone is a phrase, let's make that a phrase for today, but you were looking at things behind the questions, and that's why you were being moved. And I thought, oh wow, if that's someone pretty new coming in to identifying someone lived experience and being a peer worker, an identified peer worker, can have that kind of experience early on in the course and in their career, then yeah, that does bring a little tear to my eye, because it makes me really ambitious for a lot of things that are coming, other courses. But also, Zoe, there's a few other things for you coming when you get a bit further into the course. I thought, before I ask you the next question, what you've just said then does, yes, reflects the importance of the Warren Academy CTA. So we have a coming together agreement, which goes into that introductory chamber of the course. There's about 11, nearly a dozen chambers that are just a welcome chamber, which are really just to get people oriented onto the course. And I have had a lot of positive feedback about the CTA. And it's interesting because even relatively new, very experienced peers who often go out to training courses or meetings, we will talk about, sometimes we call them group rules, or working together agreements, WTAs and things. And when you're all there in person and you're in a group with other people, they always tend to sort of list the same kind of really important things. Now, of course, I just couldn't put one of those standard ones into an online course because you are in there individually. But I wanted people to feel some sense of connection. So there is a little community group, and we'll touch on that another day. But I thought I still wanted some kind of agreement, some kind of thing to say, this is what we're about, this is how we do it. So that's how the coming together agreement came around. And so that one is very different because it's 3 things. And those 3 things are very much the things you've just said: to come in with an open mind, to be curious, rather than deflect, or that when you're talking about things you've learned about in the course for someone else, not to assume that other people would agree or that you're right. And to always be respectful. And so that CTA, I worked so hard to try and encapsulate some simple things on one level, but more complicated on another. So it was lovely to hear you say a few of the things that you just said there, because that really reminded me of the CTA, because I've just had feedback coming from that this week as well, and it's gone really well.
I really like the CTA, Phoebe, because not only with what you intended, but I think when doing this course, the coming together agreement made me accountable. And it's always in my mind when sometimes maybe I'm seeing something that is in there that's making me really feel uncomfortable. And it reminds me to stop and say, why am I taking this personally? Okay, it's triggered a specific thing, you know, and that's really important. But more importantly, I also feel a bond and a connection within even though I'm doing this course by myself and I know there's a forum, I feel that I'm not alone, because that coming together agreement, I know that other people that are doing this course will feel the same. And just in that, I feel like I'm not alone. And God knows that sometimes we can feel quite alone in these uphill battles and to represent lived experience. So it's really nice to really just feel like and know that there are others who are coming together to learn about this because we just want to do better.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Yes, there is a little forum, and it was, I had it established when I first launched, because I actually launched Warren Academy as in opened it sort of January. It was there, and it was like, it was live, it was there, it was accessible, you could buy the course. I didn't have the free course out then, but I put no big paid advertising behind it, so I really wanted to launch into more of a hard opening and more promotions, which hopefully we're going to start in the next few weeks. So I had the forum there, and then I noticed someone pop in there recently, and then all of a sudden there was, I think there were about 5 people in there. I noticed you put a post, some people put some lovely posts, and I thought, well, that's something you grow, because obviously this is a brand new thing. It's a forum that's attached to a type of course that is very different, and there is 5 people in there just kind of chatting, doing a couple of things. Okay, is there and don't worry if you can't think of one right now, because we're not massively prepped, everybody, because I like to do things organically. Is there one thing that when you came across it, you've already mentioned a few, so this might be a difficult question for you, but is there something that struck you, even if it was negatively? Because I know there was a couple of things, but tell me something that struck you positively or negatively, or mention both, and why. Was it comfortable, uncomfortable?
Yeah. First of all, in terms of uncomfortable, the color palette, I would say how the course is designed, it's quite dark, and from a I guess a technical perspective, you know, my first recommendation to Phoebe was change the colors so it's easier to read. But then after chatting to her, there is clear intentions on why it has to be this way, and once you actually settle yourself in these rabbit holes, it actually becomes a norm. And I'd say that now I actually prefer these dark colors compared to these light things, because when sometimes at night I'm on my bed and I'm just reading it, it's a lot lighter as well. So it was something that I wasn't comfortable with at the beginning, but eventually I felt that it was something that I got used to and I actually quite like now. But it took me a little while, and I think that's the thing about courses. This course that you've created, it's, hey, it's okay to be uncomfortable. It's okay to not agree with everything. It's okay not to like everything. That's why you're here. But, you know, whereas some courses, you know, they have specific viewpoints and forces you to think a certain way or say this is right or wrong. Whereas I feel like this course is telling me, hey, you do you. You know, we're giving you this. This is you know, the content is for you to experience in your own unique, specific way. There's no right or wrong, and to be okay with that, I think it's a skill in itself.
There is a sort of a dark mode setting that is very prevalent, and it's like one of those eye health settings. I know a lot of people have their mobile permanently on that, and my husband is one of them. And whenever I have to use his phone, I used to, oh, get this, where's the white? You know, and I really didn't like it. And so I decided to put myself out of the comfort zone, going, well, actually, this goes with the marketing as well. You are in a warrant. And as this, it's similar to the eye health setting, and it's this. I thought, well, I'm going to go with this. I've had, you know, feedback, so we've gone with that. But I put myself out of my comfort zone with some elements of this course. I just wanted to have everything that makes sense with the concept of those color palettes. I'm like, yeah, that's the concept. And I didn't want to create something that is just Phoebe, what Phoebe likes, what Phoebe thinks, what should you all think?
Just the direct switching of colors. Like, for example, I'm looking at a Word doc or I'm opening Google Chrome, and then I go into this course. It's like, okay, Zoey, switch mode. You're in learning mode or exploration mode. So it's a good differentiation as well. Especially if you're doing other things. And I actually didn't realize that until I think I flipped into it yesterday, and I was like, oh, learning mode, and my brain just kind of switched, and it's like, oh, that's actually quite nice.
Yeah. Oh, I'm hoping that's strange. Somebody else said that. I'm hoping that might become a thing, like Warren mode. You know, that all our participants that are in doing the course have a similar, like, when we go in dark mode. I'm in Warren mode. I'm digging down, and it's different. And on my mobile, when I switch to that on my laptop, it's a different mode for me. Oh, I'd love it if people said that, because I'm starting to get similar feelings. That's really interesting you said that.
What I really, really like, actually, I did write down the things that I like here, so let me pull it up.
Oh, you're surprising me.
I do my work. I need to find it. I would probably say that I love the chambers, especially the 2 chambers for exploring effectively, more than anything else, because I think that has really set me up to learn how to learn. I think often when you do courses and you do these things. I think from a very young age, we were taught to learn a specific way and that's it. And sometimes we forget how to learn. And when we do new courses, we're actually not digesting the content or what we actually need from it as effectively as we want to. And Warren Academy and this course has really dialed me back and really stopped me and made me consider what is the best way that I learn and how is that really helpful as well. I really like the music at the end as well, and also the reflective exercises as well, because sometimes you run with these courses and you read and you're like, okay, yeah, I got this toolkit, yeah, I learned this. And then it's easy for you to forget about these things once you get back out of the real world. But these reflective parts has really made me pause and say, okay, for this rabbit hole, these are the best things that I got out of it. These are in my toolkit now. I didn't like this, or I didn't like this feeling. Let's come back to it and explore it. So it's given me full permission to like, dislike, be scared, be uncomfortable, be excited. So yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I do remember one comment at the end of our other meeting a while ago, and we had a quick chat. I said, how are you going on the course? And you're like, oh, well, I got into that that chamber where you're supposed to do the challenge chamber. I think you're referring to the challenge chamber, because I've renamed and restructured a little bit, just prior and after. And yeah, I remember your comment that I didn't really want to answer the question. You know, I felt I was going to get stuck in there, but then I really did. I knuckled down and I looked at the challenge questions and I did my time in there. And you said that you really benefited, and I really empathise with that, because it's those times where I really make myself and be committed that I probably come out with some very crystallised and crystal clear views, and I probably do understand things better. So there are some elements of this course that I put in that I don't always like. But that's the thing. It's been uncomfortable for me, Zoey, to try and gear the course in a way that is going to be really meaningful and useful. And at the end of the day, people all take what they do from it. But I'm trying to offer something that is at least geared a certain way. And as you notice, all of the chambers, they're sort of mandatory. You can't just some of the things you just can't skip past. I mean, you can in certain ways, but you do at least have to open them and go. You can't just start at rabbit hole 1 and then skip down to a rabbit hole 11 and have a look. So I've really tried to give people, say, take your time, go in and do one chamber at a time, because it's we think it's really worth it. I'm going to ask you, I think I had only one more. Yeah, so it's sort of a two-part question. Would you recommend this course, and to who and why? This particular course, because obviously we're going to do lots of other ones for clinicians, because I'm also a teacher and I lecture and assess in allied health. But with this course in mind, who, if you would recommend it, who, to, and why?
I'd recommend it to early lived experience professionals and peer workers who would like to start advocacy and move into that space. I recommend that because the language within Warren Academy is unique, and the good thing about Warren Academy is it teaches you that there are other languages out there that you need to use for specific environments, but at the same time learning that it's okay to switch it around and use what you need for specific environment you're in. So learning that it's really important. For example, we don't use mental illness, for example, within Warren Academy, but we know that that's a terminology that's well used out there. And I'd recommend this for people who are ready to be uncomfortable and to be challenged as well. As you go on this journey, you learn more about yourself and you learn about your biases and triggers, but also how to manage them properly and question yourself and also question those around you with compassion, understanding, and kindness.
Oh. Zoey, I'm just sitting here so grateful. So you have all these three elements, the embodiment of three different angles of it, where I can get a blend of all the type of feedback blended together in one person, which itself is unique. I have about, I think I invited about 30, maybe 30 course testers, and when I found you, I thought, oh, this is going to be super interesting. So I'm so appreciative of what you say about your experience with the course, and I'm thrilled that you've had such a meaningful time down there. And I think some people who are on the course, or one person mentioned to me that they did notice I don't always say, oh, have a great time down there, or you're going to have a great time, or you're going to learn loads, because I rarely say that. I just say have a really meaningful time, because as you say, you can go in there and come up with a question, and you'll go through your own reflections, and something uncomfortable will come up, or there's a question that might be positioned, you know, uncomfortably, or there's going to be a piece of text in that library chamber, not written by Warren Academy, because there's loads of stuff in there. You go, I don't like it. There's probably less of that in this course, and there will be in others, but there are elements of it for sure, plenty. And I think that's why I say to people, well, hope that you have a real experience, a meaningful journey, have an adventure, because that's what it is. Yeah, the courses they are geared that way, so it's good to hear some reflections of that. Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciated it.
Thank you, Phoebe. I just want to add lastly that this course is, I think, mimicking real life in a sense, because we're in a world where everyone just says, I want to be happy, I want to be happy, I'm happy, or I should be happy. And if I'm not happy, it means I'm not normal. When in fact, our lives every single day, we are supposed to feel, we're human, we feel different range of emotions. There really is not positive or negative, they're just emotions. And whether it is good or bad, there's a meaning to these emotions and feelings. And I think that's what Warren does to you. And I think that's why you don't use like have a great time, because sometimes I'm actually having an awful time because I'm having these existential crises and questions that come out that I really don't feel comfortable with. But at the same time, without these thoughts or questions, I would not progress in my life or as a professional, or understanding of lived experience from my personal perspective, and how that might come across to other people, and what that means for other people with lived experience, and how we can be allies to everybody, regardless of experiences.
Wow. Oh, Zoey, you are going to be, I think, a trailblazer in your role at MIFA. I'm very excited about Warren Academy, and I really want to tip my hat to the Finding North Network in this video as well, because you guys have been so supportive of Warren Academy.
Absolutely, and I think that's the thing about this workforce and us as lived experience professionals. You know, we all want to make our contribution to the space, and how we do it, what we do, and whether or not we can see the fruition of it. It's not as important as knowing that together we're stronger. And, you know, thank you so much for, you know, giving me these compliments. But I think that I'm learning so fast. If it is fast, it's because I'm very lucky that I have a group of amazing lived experience professionals around me. You know, you for example, every time I talk to you, you teach me to question these things, but also be okay with not being okay with a specific questions, or not feeling comfortable with things, and just being open to it, and being agile and flexible. So yeah.
Oh. Right, well, that's it from us. I hope you enjoyed whichever version of this that you're watching right now. I'm Head Hare Phoebe signing off, and I just wanted to thank Zoey Ka from MIFA one more time. Thank you, Zoey.
Thank you.